Welcome back to The Door is Still King. Another HQ, no guest, boys only. We'll run it for this week. So this week we've got some interesting topics. We're just going to dive into anything relevant sales and entrepreneurship. So I've got a few talking points that I just want to jump into. But first we want to start with the death of easy sales and why that's actually a good thing. So with AI coming about, with all new technology really innovating, why is there a death of easy sales that you're noticing each?
I know I love these, and we can just be candid and open about how we feel and what we think. And there's probably nobody watching, so it's great for now anyways. Why the death of an easy sale? What comes to mind first is I believe people have gotten mentally weaker since all these new tools and innovations have come out. And sales used to be a challenging, hard job where you had to build up sort of a mental muscle. You had to really practice rejection the old school way, face to face, and almost have to look inside to find answers to figure out if this was for you, if there's skill sets you could pick up, if there's extra training you could do. But it all came from this almost like this painful place of rejection. But then what you got out of that was really tough people learning how to communicate through rejection and pain and all the stuff that bubbles up when you're out there selling. I'm going to reference always sort of the door-to-door direct sale as the one I'm familiar with. And it really sculpted, I think, talented people through that gritty grind of rejection. So I think people, one, just haven't felt enough rejection in their normal lives, maybe because times are good. And two, maybe what we're seeing is you can automate almost everything. And what it's doing is it's killing the iteration or the opportunity of great salespeople. That's what comes to mind first. How about yourself?
Yeah, I just think that technology, like we've been able to innovate so much. A lot of companies don't need sales. They have great marketing, they have great product, and that's all they need. There will just be conversions. I mean, us having a direct sales model, I think you can see where the hard sale thrives. And that just shows there's either demand in the market, and a lot of people just take that as, okay, it's good, or there's not demand. And then there's either, to me, two reasons behind that. It's either there's no awareness, which is I think where we're sitting, or it's just a bad product. But I think people are just able to piece things together. And if it's a good product, then they build awareness through marketing and then they can figure it out. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing a notable difference in lack of awareness. And then there's also companies who've just fed off of simple referral models and not really like founder-led sales. And yeah, so I think that's just been the way of the market personally.
It also could just be that it's easier to sell products now because of all the new tools, right? So it's also like, it's not maybe any lack of production. People are selling more than ever products and services and SaaS and, whatever vertical of sale product that exists out there nowadays. It's never been easier. But what it will intrinsically do is the art of the sale may get lost in the weeds somewhere, perhaps. And I'm always a big proponent of things are cyclical. So you'll see a time come back where the person who learned it the hard way or is willing to still will have this distinct advantage in the marketplace. And even I'd go as far as even at home or in their personal life. And I hope it's an art that stays and lasts the test of time as we see new innovations come out. And I would argue too, and I'd bet that the core principles also help those in the new world of sales as well too. Like I bet you those skills propel those people forward even in a further way. So it's sort of a win-win if you're willing to kind of walk through the fire a bit in maybe a more traditional sales role. And I'm biased for sure to that.
Agreed. I'm actually just thinking too, I think we're actually doing a good job being a part of killing easy sales. When we talk about the death of easy sales, it's an easy sale until someone comes in the market who's willing to come directly to you and offer a greater service with more efficiency or better optimization. And so when you, let's say solar in BC, a lot of the 15, 20-year companies have models, like I said, just based off referrals or people coming to them, a lot of inbound traffic, just people saying, I'm looking into solar in the area, educate me. And then they hear about it, they understand it, they go, this is an insane product, I'll do it. But when you have now an organization coming in and planning to be here for the long run, you have people coming directly to you, doing the hard work, and it starts to cut out those people in the market who just sit and wait. And I think that attributes to the death of the easy sale too, is optimization on the tech side. So inbound becomes more competitive. But then if there's people doing outbound at a high volume, they'll win the business, in my opinion. So you have to do the hard thing to compete, or you just have to not compete. Just don't compete.
I wonder too if the folks inside of a more traditional sale can stand the test of time if humans and people will want to be spoken to directly, because that will be this unbelievably abnormal situation. And the folks that do that well will have this skyrocketing level of production or just insane results compared to folks that can just do it automated. I bet you the human being will crave a human touch inside of the sale 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And you and I are betting the farm on it. But I bet you that's true. I bet you will see that be true over enough time.
Totally. I wonder about that. If people do or don't. Because there's a lot of like traditional people too who are like, oh, you can't trust people. You can't. There used to be like a real neighborly feel to people. It's slowly become more individualistic and less community based. And so now it's a lot more people versus people, less people versus system or people versus whatever. And
You're
so
right.
I wonder if they actually can depend on this thing that they believe is honest, unbiased. Like I know if you think about, let's say like coaching or therapy, something there, a lot of people are like, no way, like that's not for me. I wonder if they would prefer to talk to an unbiased tool and just say, hey, I'm having trouble sleeping. Are there any tips to help me just sleep? And then it slowly gets into, why are you having trouble sleeping? And then you all of a sudden have a counselor in your pocket and you don't even know you've made that conversion. Does that make sense? So I wonder if the trust layer actually gets bonded, or there becomes, maybe they stop feeling they can trust the thing in their pocket, and then it might create more community-based feel again.
Yeah, I'm going to lean towards that. I bet you that is true for a period of time. And then things collapse, things break. We kind of saw it in COVID, like people didn't trust their neighbor. People freaked out when somebody knocked their door and asked for sugar or something. And it was your neighbor. It was somebody you'd known for years. And there was this fear that penetrated communities, and folks weren't talking to people they've known for a decade or something. But then what did we see after that? We saw people congregate at fitness facilities again. We saw like gym culture go up, run culture go up. We saw actually direct sales at the door go up again, and home services specifically. And we saw a rebalancing of folks wanting to be around each other. I think it's intrinsic that folks need the human touch, and probably why I'm the biggest proponent of folks jamming together. And if you do that with skill and a little bit of structure, again, it's inevitable that they'll win in this space. So I think you're right for a period of time, and then things bust. And people go, I'm so glad somebody's at my door. I'll just listen to you for 20 minutes. And there was a time where I would have never believed that if it wasn't for some strange windows, 2008, 2013, then COVID and 19, and seeing this with the interaction at the door. People crave and despise people at their door or in their home, depending on the market. And so, yeah, I think this next window is going to be a real telltale sign of where humans are at for interpersonal communication.
Totally. Super interesting. Okay, let's pivot a little bit. I want to feel like recruiting is the new marketing. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like recruiting is the new marketing, or do you feel like you still need to market?
Companies always need to market. There's something, though, again, intrinsically or inherently powerful about hiring. A people business is, again, I'm going to put it in the same as the sale. It's you're looking for a mentor. You can go online and have an online coach, or you can have somebody in front of you show you how to do the sale and smell what it's like to be in a customer's home, have 10 kids come up to you while you're trying to get a contract signed and learn how poise feels like. Right? Denzel Washington does this thing where he talks about culture. I'm just going to go as a side note here, but he talks about culture to this director. I saw it online, and he goes, you can't write out culture and film it. You have to have known it. And he uses the example of in the States, you have African-American women on the stoops curling their hair. And then there's a smell of burning the hair that you have to have been in that to know. And culturally, we do that. I remember my sister's hair when they were braiding it and putting some berries and juices in it. There's a burn to it to get it to straighten for a bit, and then they would curl it afterwards. But I know the smell of it. So when he gave the example, that's the difference between, I would say, the sale in the home and knowing what it feels like to have a mentor or a coach show you what to do in those scenarios versus online coaching, which is great and serves a purpose tactfully, let's say. Then you might get some results, and you most likely will, but there's a different tangible feeling you get by in person and people hiring people or people coaching people in that fashion. It comes to mind first. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like for recruiting replacing marketing, like my take would be as a company, you could take different approaches based off of the company that we are. I think that if we have a really strong, because a lot of companies think marketing comes first. And so marketing and then sales and then fulfillment. Really, if you put recruiting up first, and then recruiting is somewhere below, I guess I should add. Recruiting is always considered in every model, but a lot of the time they're just filling seats and whatever. If we put recruiting up to the top and we put marketing down to the bottom, now you've got recruiting as the beginning of every funnel, which means you can become an expert recruiter. You can fill every single seat, and you can have people waiting on the sidelines, and you can take the only best of the best people. Now they'll be able to roll into every single other layer better, faster, more efficient, streamline everything. So whether it is just our model, again, marketing isn't necessary per se, because you can go directly to the home with a sales rep. You can cold call directly with sales reps, and you can just book appointments like that. That is its own sale. And so that's where I see it. Like, I don't see marketing falling off. I think then you need to, on the bottom, you need to have a website, you need to have branding, some social media stuff, podcasts, whatever you want to do for awareness. But I do see the substitute of like a key builder of our business anyways being recruiting and bringing in the right people.
Yeah, and maybe, okay, I love that. And the part two to that, you just reminded me too, is when you have stronger talent being developed in a person-to-person basis, you get an individual marketer of the product and service themselves. And that propels quicker. Like that could actually be exponential as fast as any other model, if not even maybe more measurable, I would argue too, than a traditional marketing or even online marketing or whatever marketing looks like today in comparison. And there's something to that where you can actually measure out production on a person that's learned from a person. There's metrics you can pull out that are also arguably maybe stickier. You have different levers you can pull inside of the company that will give you like nimbleness. Like you can do more faster with people that understand the culture of sales or understand the culture of said company versus toggling marketing on and off only. And I think there's a strength to that would outweigh getting lucky on marketing, let's say, for example, where you hit on a trend and it worked and you think it's you, but was it a trend? Where there's actually more controllable variables with person to person. And maybe I bet you somebody would argue the opposite and have a good argument too.
Yeah. Again, if we were to be the best in the world at marketing, or we were to be the best in the world at recruiting, what would allow for us to build a stronger model? And I think that it would be tough, but I do think that recruiting, if we could bring the highest quality people in to work with us in sales, the best salespeople in the world working for us versus having the best performing ads or the best performing whatever, there's an argument that I would be able to probably lose, but I just think we've played around with both and we're seeing it. And I think firsthand, amazing people, to your point, can replace one good ad. But that one good ad now has to be generated into another good ad and another good ad, and it has to keep performing. Like you said, there's variables, whether the market condition changes or whether versus having a super talented person who can go and connect with anyone. That's a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, we both intrinsically believe people are powerful and that I haven't given up. We haven't given up on like the human potential. I wonder if that has something to do with it, where we believe in human potential still to be pushed to its max. And there's something revealing in that process versus maybe marketing and only working on algorithms or looking for hacks in the marketplace. You know, I know folks love that, but there's something about realizing human potential that maybe is a core driver in the way we think or in how our company's built.
Totally.
Like I still believe people will inherently make better choices over a long period of time than AI or computers or people will. And the result of human potential being fulfilled or exercised is exciting to me. And I think that compounds and has more like tangible value in the world than the other. And it's probably why we tilt one direction versus the other.
For sure. Yeah, like umbrella, I'm thinking it's almost like marketing is awareness. And so would you rather be a master of awareness or, which is what you're reminding me with the human piece, the recruiting piece adds more possibility for connection. And that to me ties you so much stronger to a brand. If you're connected to the individuals in it versus awareness, being known.
And all numbers say that humans are irrational, unreliable, like the opportunity cost to train and recruit and put them to work and have them fall off is so expensive and high. And still we choose this route. I call it Mad Men, but I think there's still something to it that will always win. Yeah. And you have a short time on earth. So I think there's something to that. I'd rather see people win as a whole. Like I'd rather 1,000 sales reps win in the marketplace and learn something about themselves than 3 people figure out how to market sour candies and win in the market. There's something more inherently maybe do-gooder in that while you have a short time on earth too. So there's something to be said about that as well.
Agreed. Okay, so if you're crazy like us and you're sitting there listening to this and you agree with us, which most people might not, but if you are crazy enough to, and you're thinking about pivoting into sales, let's say, question is, can you still build wealth starting with nothing in Canada based off of all factors: housing, inflation, new tech, everything? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I got thoughts, Quinn. I got thoughts on this one. Just look at home prices and then look at compensation in the marketplace for talented, educated people. And the marketplace is telling you have to learn a new skill quick. And I don't think it's just learning how to use AI. I think it's actually learning an internal skill set to outperform for example, gas and house prices, or else you will get swallowed up by the marketplace and the cost of living rising. I think it's a must that people figure out how to sell products and services in the most efficient way possible if they ever want to get ahead or get out of the system too in some capacity. I think it's designed to keep folks stuck. And sales has always been a way to pull yourself out. And sometimes you're able to see what is happening in your environment, and you can actually have some sense of control in working your way out in a critical amount of time in shorter windows. I just think that's still very powerful after all these years, where other people just get gobbled up and go, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to live off this and hopefully I get a promotion.
Totally. It's crazy. We lower our standard of living because we don't see the other side of it. You don't know. And sales is, when you're not in sales, it's not like, it almost has such a negative connotation, which is really interesting to me, because you basically just get to, like, no one looks at a business owner and gives it a negative frame, but they look at salespeople and there's some sort of negative feeling around it. And it's like, maybe because there's been a lot of bad salespeople who are pushy or different or weird, you're looking at the bottom of the barrel. That's like going to a doctor who does a terrible job diagnosing you and makes you walk out of there with more pain than you came in with, and then saying doctors are the worst. No, you talk to a bad doctor. And so it's funny that sales gets that, because there's a manager, and when I started sales, there's a manager that I worked around. He would always talk about how all of us, he was like, it's so funny. We can all make what doctors make. And none of us made it further than high school. And these, like, people commit 12 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars debt to go become a doctor because they're like, well, I can guarantee that I'm going to get that. If you go into sales, I can't guarantee anything, but I can guarantee it for myself. If I were to put in the amount of time in any industry that I can sell and get a commission. If I was to commit 10 years like they do to get their PhD, I think I can earn more than a doctor. And I think that's true for almost everyone who has the act or the desire to do so. I think you could totally beat the market in sales. And I think that's a unique industry.
And I wonder is there any others that can? Inherently, you have to sell something. Selling is really economics and trading of goods and services, right? So it's like you are either the engine or you're relying on the engine to determine your price and your value. And so going back to that, like, maybe that's where inherently we love sales, because I've made a choice to become my own engine and outperform or not be controlled in a way of what my worth might be in the marketplace. And that's powerful. The more you actually lean into that thought, it's freaky. It still scares the crap out of me. And you'd asked a question at the beginning, where else can you go to zero? Like, been there like a couple times. Where else can you go to zero and then rebuild again and again and again on a foundation of skills and experiences where you trust your own hands, feet, eyes, mouth, ears to go out and get the work done. And it's been true over and over and over again, where you get fired, you might be able to pivot. You don't have control if you get let go. Like, how many people got laid off at Amazon a few months back? Tens of thousands of people got let go. Is that stability? Like, we talk about that word. There is no such thing as stability. It's an illusion. So leaning on a set of skills is the only way I sleep at night. And I wonder if it's the same for anybody listening too. And maybe it's always going to be a challenge for folks to see what side of the fence you're on. And is it ignorance is bliss that you're sleeping at night? Or is revelations coming and the world is ending, so you better figure out how to go do sales to prevent the sky from falling or something?
It's funny with stability, because you said I think sales is more stable than a salary job, for sure, bar none. I don't think a commission-only salesperson gets fired. I'd love to hear an example of it where they are doing a good job, doing their job well. Times get tough. Maybe comp structure has to adjust, but you're going to be the most valuable piece of any puzzle, because you can still take a piece of what you bring in. And so just keep bringing things in. And so, yeah, I don't think you can really lose a sales job. You don't really, unless you're doing a poor job, which is normally effort-based or not taking the time to learn the skills.
Can you tell me, where is sales not present? It's ignorance towards where sales are actually taking place. They're just happening everywhere around you. It's actually a way to control your little planet, your little universe around you. Sales are happening everywhere. You're getting sold lettuce at the grocery store. You're not buying lettuce. You're getting sold lettuce. You're getting sold gasoline. You're getting sold what movie to watch. You know what I mean? Like, you're getting sold what car, what house. And it's like, okay, well, if I understand sales, I understand how to navigate myself in the marketplace, which is really economics, which is really a byproduct of who you are. Like, you have to function in the economic environment you're in. And that's why viscerally it's important to understand sales from the inside, I believe. You know what I mean? It's happening to you, or you're imposing yourself on it.
And it's normally so poorly done. And I love it when like recognizing that. I love it when I'm actually sold and it's a good sale and they do a good job. You go into the shoe store in the classic, like anything I can help you with, any sizes I can grab for you. Just love to go in and have a talented shoe salesperson come in and ask me some curious questions and build some rapport and point out the shoes that I'm wearing now and why I would want to change it. I would love that. I love to be sold when they do a great job. When you go to the grocery store and you pick what type of lettuce, you go, okay, organic, you go, okay, not organic. You compare, you look at prices, whatever, see if it looks brown. You just like, it's so lame. I want someone to sell me something like, tell me why I should go with organic. Why should I pay the extra $2? I like that.
But here's the thing, you made me smile. Lettuce is a high level sale. I'm talking lobby groups drive certain private companies to then tell you something's organic, put certain bylaws or laws in place to label things a certain way in order for you to feel like it's good for you. That's a high level structured sale taking place on you. It's, you know what I mean? It's not just buying lettuce. It's the idea of, it's a whole infrastructure on why you should buy this one versus Tom and Sally who have an organic farm 10 minutes up the road, which is probably better for you and you're helping your community and your dollars going further and everybody wins from that purchase. It's a hard fought sale for those $1.89 lettuce and really high level. That's even what I'm talking about. I wonder if people's minds are ever just stop and go, am I just conditioned to purchase or am I a sophisticated buyer? And I learned how to buy through being sold and selling.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Like the question being, what am I conditioned to think? Even just as a whole, like what do I do that I think I'm supposed to do? It's like you take your shoes off when you go into someone's house. Where did that conditioning come from? Everything that we do, you hold the door open for an older lady. Like where did that conditioning come from? There's good levels of conditioning that have happened. There's great things in all of it. But there's also layers. It's like, does this serve me? Why do I think that? Why did I think the only way that I could have a good career is if I went to university?
Right.
Why did I think? Where did that come from? And I thought that. And I went to university and it was like, did it help me make any money differently? No. You know what I mean? And then all my friends who finished university, got their degrees, doing their masters. Like I have a friend with MBA and it's like they were looking for work. That's hilarious. I ended up getting a diploma and after 2 years and have been able to achieve six figures since 19 or whatever, 20. It's like so funny. And so, yeah, the conditioning layers of like, what are we actually conditioned to believe is a good entry level step into being like, why am I doing it?
And we talked about this too. Remember, we talked about this. Like your lawyer is selling you a product or service. Your accountant is, your chiropractor is, your dentist is. It's like these spheres of influence in your environment that are baked in the structure of our everyday lives of places we have to go and government funds you to go get your teeth cleaned. And it's a sale. It's a structured, fundamental sale taking place. And when you realize that you have control, I'm going to keep bringing it up because it's becoming more true, I think, as time passes. Negotiate with your lawyer. Learn how to communicate so that you're not always getting the leftovers of the system, perhaps.
And sales teaches you that. I really think, I don't think that I would ever have opened my eyes to any of the, I guess, system, for lack of a better word, the system around us. I would never have opened my eyes to that if it wasn't for stepping out of the system, which sales allows you to step out of the system for a little bit and be like, oh, this is how things actually work. And when you get to be a mini entrepreneur by being a salesperson, you start to look at every single layer of where does the dollar go? Where does the dollar come from? Because it matters. And so, okay, so then this person financed. How does that work? What is actual financing? Is it free money? Is it a payment plan? Or where did that money come from? Actually lending your money that you have in your savings account back to you and then giving you a 5% whatever, but lending it to you at 9%? What's really happening? So it's fun to think about for me. And again, if people are thinking that way, I would urge you to try out sales because I think that to me is where can you still build wealth starting with nothing in Canada? 100% you can. I think you don't have to do it in sales. You could be the hardest worker in any industry and work your way to the top. An entrepreneur, I think start a business is a great way to I love the trades route. If you're going to go learn a trade, we see now too, like these service-based businesses, if you just get good at a trade, work your way to say Red Seal, and then get some business skills, start a business, a lot of these people are making $300,000-$400,000 a year. You can totally build a life in Canada in most cities off $300,000-$400,000 a year.
And you know, the ones that make $750 or higher, go and do sales somewhere and then go back into their business, right? Like if you actually or go do a training sales program. I'm an engineer, has a form of thinking, builds a little consulting company. Who's going to do better? Engineer quoting services, random RFP somewhere, or engineer who incorporated a sales infrastructure through learning it and doing it. Those two side by side, one's going to thrive, the other's going to do well. But one can get to the mountaintop, the perceived mountaintop in sales and be an entrepreneur. But it's always going to thrust yourself forward by having those skill sets. And I've seen it too. I've seen pharmacists come and do door-to-door sales way back when, and They were just finishing their degree. These guys would then go open up like a Shoppers Drug Mart or a Rexall, whatever they would open up, but they'd open up a pharmacy inside of these grocery. Yeah, inside of a Shoppers, you can actually privately own the pharmacy. The guys that came and did sales crushed it because their minds were different. They weren't just selling, they were like upselling quantity, and they were pushing products in a different way and had a different skill set to get customers to them versus the 10 other stores up the street. They had a fundamental skill set that was not taught in school. And I always hear back from some of these guys, and it's always cool to hear their success stories because they incorporated sales in their non-traditional sales avenues.
Totally. I mean, it's funny. You can tell how much we love sales.
Yeah, I guess we're killing the subject, but yeah.
It's so funny. I have one final one on the sales thing, especially around like starting new into the industry. If people are, let's say 10 years, because I think that's probably about how long it takes to become a doctor. Someone starts and puts in real work for 10 years in sales. You've seen countless reps do it. Probably a lot of people don't make it to the 10-year mark, but assuming they did, make it the equivalent to, say, med school. How difficult that would be. The hours, the work, the learning, the testing, the case studies, everything that somebody would have to do to become a doctor. If someone did that with the exact same energy, same attention, same intention in sales, where do you think is the worst place you can imagine them being after those 10 years? Financially, like earning wise, not obviously anything else.
The doctor?
Financially, we take the sales equivalent, you put in all the same work years, put your head down, you learn, you grind, you do 12-hour days, you do 15-hour days, you do exactly what they do. Where's the worst you can envision? Obviously, you don't have to have an exact.
I would just instinctually say $250,000. There's no way after a decade in this, you're not always and forever. God forbid you get injured or something, but you should have an insurance policy out on that. There's mechanisms to protect yourself. If you're a high income independent contractor, you can actually protect yourself from these things, but that's maybe for another time. But $250,000, you should always be able to earn that as a 10-year, not even veteran, but somebody who's poured their energy, effort, heart, soul into a career in sales. Yeah. What would be your guess?
I agree with you. For like the question being, what's the least that I could expect?
Yes.
I would almost say if I really thought someone was just going to take the full on, I'll do 12-hour days, 16-hour days, I'll do 7 days a week. I'll do exactly what I know med school or know of med school being like. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but the idea of 10 years committed, hard work, learn, grow, work. I think that the least I could see someone being at reasonably 250, but I think what the expected in my mind would probably be like $400,000 or $500,000.
For sure.
And I think that would blow a lot of people's mind, but I think that's not even crazy talk. That's just like 10 years of really working at becoming the best. And then obviously take your opportunities, take your thing. I can't guarantee that's where people would be. I don't know what your skill set you're starting out with is, but in my brain, if I was to talk to someone who I just thought had a knack for it, ex-athlete, well-spoken, listens well, I think that I could see someone, I would not be shocked to hear, I just put my head down for 10 years. I wouldn't be shocked to hear they're making $1 million a year person.
You know what the issue is here? 10 years,
Wow.
very, very rarely can someone see themselves doing this type of career for 10 years. Most people are going, I need it for a year, or I'm doing it just for the skill for the summer. And that's great and all, but like to your question, the challenge is also how perceived hard it is versus it's actually not that hard once you're talking to Jordan today. It's not that hard once you get over that first hump. The first hump is almost acceptance. You've let go old thoughts and preconceived notions of what the career may look like for you. You might uncover skills and interests you didn't know were there. And that carries you to 10 years. Where most people just go, 10 years, no way. I'll find a different way to make. That's easy. I'll get there in a different way. In fact, you can actually guarantee your way there. We're saying that's our lowest. Actually, so you can. I believe in the word guarantee sometimes. That's all you have. You can guarantee yourself to get there with 10 years if you can let yourself think that far ahead. And it's not that far ahead. It's an illusion.
Totally.
It happens quicker than you think.
Like you can't guarantee anything. You're right. But I would almost 99% it. Like I would be like 1 out of 10 years, after 10 years, if 100 people did it, one person, some anomaly situation might come up. Maybe 90%. 10 people might be at 125 instead. And it's cool. You're still at 125,000. So, which is still a lot of money for most salaries where they go to get a degree. You didn't have to pay for the education, which I think is a huge advantage. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that there's so many different feelings around sales that seem so inaccurate when it can be such an amazing career for almost anyone who's willing to do the steps.
I hear the parent, I hear the shame of the parent saying, I got here from another country. You were supposed to be a dentist or a lawyer. Why are you doing sales? We didn't come here for you to do this. And it's amazing how many people get stopped by that conditioning. And also it blocks them from seeing, a decade out where if somebody only told them that being a lawyer was the same thing.
Yeah.
And actually probably not as fulfilling. And sorry to the lawyers out there, but I know a ton of them, and how many of them are actually fulfilled compared to really high level sales folk that have made it a career. There's a apples to apples. I bet you it would tilt one way, who feels maybe more fulfilled and see more of the world and got more experiences than a high level salesperson that made it a career.
And probably a lot of those tenure lawyers would be looking back and being understanding now to what you're saying. They would probably agree with you. They'd be like, oh, sales is a phenomenal career. I've worked with tons of salespeople.
For sure.
I've actually done a lot of things for them. And you see their insides, and you see their books, and you understand what it actually looks like. And now they probably know that being a lawyer, if they wanted to hit the next level, involved sales. And so now they're trying to go back and learn the sale. And so we do that disagreement there.
We're actually seeing law firms, and I'll leave names out, bring in CEOs from private companies that were sales-driven companies,
right.
Sales and marketing-driven companies, where they come in and run said law firm, said big law firm, and give a testimony to that. These worlds all become gray, with the foundation being sales and marketing, being the driver of the legal services in which you provide. And all roads lead to a good place if you can make it a 10-year career.
Totally. I've got like some speed questions to close. So these are totally off topic now too. It's a little bit like get to know age type thing. Best book you've read this year?
I reread The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli.
Best book you've read this year?
That was good. I think it had relation to the economic climate, how politicians make decisions. It helped me see behind the mind of policymakers, which was important for me in that window of time, because I was really confused with what was going on in the world and I needed to make sense for me. And that book was a really good one to remind myself of how decisions are being made around me.
Cool. Okay, love it.
How about for you?
I just got back into reading 3 days ago, which is really funny. I haven't read a book probably listened to an audiobook this year. I haven't read a book this year. I'm rereading How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I love it. Started it again. I've read it multiple times though, but that has to be my answer because it's the only one. It's a great
podcast more than anybody I've ever met. Your absorption of content and of information is some of the highest, I swear, I've ever met. I don't think it has to be reading a book per se. It's how you consume information better than anybody I've met. So
appreciate it. That's a skill or not, who knows? Biggest lesson you've learned from the last month?
I'm more sure than ever that we are cyclical as people. And when you bring people together, they do the same things. They can be from different cities, provinces, countries. You bring them into a certain environment, humans do the same things. And so that we're cyclical by nature and our habits are bettable and predictive. Yeah.
I'll answer too. So biggest lesson was, for me, I think it was focusing on growth is not the right intention. Focusing on core principles will always serve what I want. And so I mentioned that to you, and you know all the context behind that, but they're like a high level, like 15-second type thing. It's basically like, it's easy for me to get caught up what's next. Never really content, just keep pushing for more, whatever it is. Lift more weight, get a better relationship with your partner, whatever KPI or metric that I can come up with. Date nights, are they more intentional? Did I touch my phone after this time? Everything's metric based. And I think that's the wrong area of focus for me, because it's just a never ending thing. And I can already see the end, that what it would be. It would just be uncontent life. So rooting back to core principles and just living through that, I think will take me where I want to go, but it will allow me to at least enjoy the present and rooting myself back to who I am, what I actually want, and not losing sight of that through focusing just on growth. So not growth, but core principles. That was definitely my lesson from last month.
Nice.
What's one mistake every salesperson makes?
Quitting on themselves too early and not recognizing how much bandwidth they actually have to stomach rejection, pain, and discomfort. How about for you?
It's a really hard one when I think like every salesperson makes. I don't know if I can think of anything that every single one makes, but the first thing that I can think of is, I just supposed to say growth. But that's what but learning. Like, I think that people need to never stop learning. And I think that if they dive into learning from the very beginning, it will make it way more fun. It will make more actionable. It will make it like all the steps are exciting. And then either A, you don't do that and your growth is really hindered because of it. So you never start that growth, or you do the growth, you take the course, you get excited about that after 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You're like, I'm pretty good. And then you stop growing. But it also becomes harder to grow because you need to find things that will push you to the next level, which now you're taking yourself to say top 5% or 10%. How do you get trainers who are the top 1% to help bring you to that group? So it gets harder, but I think that most people either don't educate themselves at the beginning, and if they do, they stop at some point. I just think there needs to be never-ending learning. It needs to be a never-ending game, and that should be fun and enjoyable.
Love that.
What's one habit worth stealing from you or anyone?
Resilient. It's my Kipling poem. I don't want to jack my Kipling poem, but maybe just read or listen to If by Kipling. And that poem is the answer to that one. And there's just a line where he says, if you're willing to gamble it all on a game of pitch and toss, lose all your winnings and get up and not speak a word of it and just get up and go again, is a part in the poem that I quite liked. It's the resilience to keep going and sometimes not even utter a word and muscle it in and keep going. Yeah. Steal it from the poem.
Okay.
How about you, Q?
So I want it to be basically applicable to anyone, no matter what. I think set your intention for the day and hold yourself accountable to it. I think that nobody does that. Not enough people. Set your intention, hold yourself accountable, come back the next day, review how it went, set your intention, do it again. And just keep doing that. And even if it's like, my intention for today is to worry less. My intention today is to get out and do a walk. My intention for today is to be present with my family. Whatever it is, set your intention, have a little metric that you want to have. Okay, I'm going to do an hour phone off with my kids. Great. Go back, reflect on that. How did it go? Next day, okay, set your intention. It's a little bit not woo-woo, but it's like, I think that's applicable to almost anything.
That's the art of it, is exactly, can you do that everywhere in your life daily and not speak a word of it? It's just something you do. Inevitably, people win from it. I love that. That's gold.
Cool. And then last one, what's something you've changed your mind about recently?
I'm pretty sure environment does matter. I actually forever thought I'm my own environment. I will control everything around me. I will build it my way. And maybe that was the ego talking. And I've learned now that environment can make the difference. Traits that come out, qualities that come out, stresses that go away. I don't know. All of it. An environment for me. How about for you?
Maybe back to recruiting. This is business related, but that recruiting is one of the most important elements of business. And I didn't realize that. I think that before I knew it was like important to have good people, but I didn't realize the steps that can actually, like, I almost think most companies, if you're big enough, should have a recruiting department. And if you don't, I don't know. I've realized now talent acquisition and maintaining that is one of the most important forms of leverage you could ever have in business. Having great people around you, always having more than you need, I think, for me anyways, that's something that I've changed my mind about. I thought if you fill your seats, you have your good people, okay, things will naturally, organically work out. I think always keep bringing in more people, and whether you hire them or whether you just have them as a network, expand the network and recruit. I think that's something that's totally new for me.
Oh, I love it. Here we are.
We can't ask why the door is still king because we've already done that, but that's it for this week. The door is still king because it can set you up for, I think, more success than you can ever imagine.